There are various philosophical foundations on education, and one of them, and which I am about to discuss, is on the constructivism learning theory in education. Constructivism is a philosophical theory of learning that develops the logical and analytical abilities of the students based on the experience and their surrounding environment. The basis of this theory is that the real life experiences of an individual play a significant role in their education process. Further, this theory stresses the fact that experiences are a prime source of knowledge in the life of the people. The founder of this theory is considered to be John Piaget. In the broadest sense, constructivism is a theory of learning that it states that an individual's mental abilities and activities helped in constructing their knowledge base. By analyzing our own real-life experiences, we can make conclusions about various happenings of the world. It is also about building a perspective about the things and constructing a meaning based on our experiences. Constructivism is highly influenced by the age and mental abilities of a person, and may not be always accurate, but as one progresses, it becomes more intricate and realistic. There are some chief driving elements or principles about constructivism, which includes: first, knowledge constructs through experiences which cannot be transferred. Second, having prior knowledge before joining a formal training impacts the learning procedure. Third, knowledge is affected by our surroundings and the influences which may not be as per the global standards. Lastly, for adequate knowledge, one needs to apply their efforts and actively participate in experience gaining activities. Though there are chief driving elements on constructivism theory, there are consequences on the learning process of this constructivism. It says that in the teaching and education process, constructivism theory can be a very profitable venture. In this practical approach can be adopted instead of textbooks learning. Students are encouraged to utilize their thinking, reasoning, and analytical skills. Education becomes more about concept application and establishing connection instead of taking in information. For the teachers and educator, the teaching and instruction process becomes more centered towards the practical application of the concepts. The students learn from the hands-on approach of the things and interpret the result as per their perspective. It involves a lot of discussions and inquiry-based learning. Assessment procedure also changes, as the teacher do not have to grade the students as per traditional assessments. Students themselves analyze their experiences, and so assessment is also involved as a learning process. Constructivism theory has different types. Generally, four significant types of constructivism are prevalent in the teaching world, namely inconsequential or trivial constructivism, social constructivism, cultural constructivism, profound or radical constructivism, critical constructivism, and lastly, constructionism. To dig in the difference between the types of constructivism, let us give description to each one of them so that we can differentiate these various types of constructivism. First type of constructivism is the trivial constructivism. It is one of the most basic and straightforward form of constructivism. It can be considered as the base of all the other constructivism theory. In this, knowledge is constructed by learner through the interpretation of the personal experiences based on his or her cognitive and mental abilities. It is not just induced form, the environment automatically calls for active involvement. Another type of constructivism theory is the so-called radical constructivism. In this, it emphasizes the construction of knowledge and states that textbook knowledge is not that meaningful. It can be connected to the working methodologies of mathematics, but it is difficult to understand and implement. The other one is the social constructivism. It states that peers and people of society majorly influence the experience and learning process of an individual. Teachers, family, friends, administrators, and peers directly affect a student in various activities in a classroom. Even outside the school, this influence is significant. Hence, social deconstructivism is also essential type of constructivism theory. The last one is the cultural constructivism. It states that culture and traditions of a place also affect a person's perspective and opinion of things. By observing a person's cultural background, one can make out the factors that affect their perception. So those are the 4 different types of constructivism and their descriptions. In constructivism theory, there are underlying common beliefs that constituted to this theory. It states that learning refers to finding the meaning of the concept behind it. Hence, it should be influenced by individuals' daily life experiences and their surrounding atmosphere. Next, application-based learning is more important than bookish knowledge. Education should be imparted in context with practical learning and understanding the ideation behind the theoretical concepts. Further, to ensure proficient and productive teaching practices, a teacher must be able to analyze the thinking capabilities of a student first. Their thinking procedures and assumptions should be taken into account. Moreover, instead of accessing and mugging up the answer to the problem, the student should be able to come up into a conclusion about things from their point of view. This develops the involvement process of the students and also ensures a better understanding of the concepts involved in the teaching scenario. Addition to that, a student can be evolved their perception based on the knowledge provided in the classroom and connect it with their experiences. Lastly, new ideas can be constructed as a student has a good set of logical and reasoning skills. Also, concepts get relayed in a better manner through the practical learning approach, and they lead towards a better understanding. So these are the common beliefs behind this constructivism theory. In conclusion, knowledge is not a thing that can be simply deposited by the teacher into the empty minds of the learners. Rather, knowledge is constructed by the learner through an active mental process of development. Learners are the builders and creators of meaning and knowledge. Their minds are not empty. Instead, their minds are full of ideas waiting to be midwifed by the teacher with his or her skillful facilitating skills. That comprises the entirety of the constructivism theory. I hope you get a lot of ideas that instituted this kind of theory on education process. Thank you.